Hi everyone. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about Acheron. We'll be discussing about her build, including her relic sets, Lightcones, and her team compositions. Before getting into it, Acheron is a Nihility Lightning DPS. She'll be released in version 2.1. First off, we're gonna discuss about her kit. For Acheron's skill, Acheron gains 1 point of /dream. Inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a single target enemy, and deals lightning damage equal to 80% of her attack to that enemy. As well, all lightning damage equal to 30% of her attack to adjacent enemies. For Acheron's ultimate, Acheron unleashes Rainblade 3 times, and Stygian Resurge 1 time, dealing lightning damage up to 223% of her attack to a single target enemy, and lightning damage up to 180% of Acheron's attack to all other enemies. Crimson Knots can't be applied to enemies during Acheron's ultimate. Acheron's talent. When /dream reaches 9 stacks, Acheron's ultimate can be unleashed, which lowers enemies' toughness regardless of their weakness types, and also lowers their ult-type resistance by 10% until the end of Acheron's ultimate. Acheron's technique. Acheron immediately attacks an enemy, and at the start of the battle she gains 2 stacks of /dream, and deals lightning damage equal to 200% of her attack to all enemies, and reduces the toughness of all enemies regardless of their weakness. As a bonus, if a normal enemy is attacked, they are immediately defeated and you won't enter combat. The technique point is not spent if the attack doesn't hit an enemy. For Acheron's traces. Trace 1. At the start of battle, Acheron immediately gains 5 stacks of /dream and applies 5 stacks of Crimson Knot to a random enemy. Trace 2 is the most crucial and must unlocked trace. When there are 1 or 2 other characters following the path of Nihility in the team, the damage of Acheron's basic attack, skill, and ultimate increases to 115% or 160% of its original damage. Trace 3. When the Rainblade from Acheron's ultimate hits enemies with Crimson Knot, her damage increases by 30%, stacking up to a maximum of 3 times and lasting for 3 turns. Additionally, Acheron deals 6 hits of damage when Stygian Resurge is triggered, with every hit dealing lightning damage equal to 25% of Acheron's attack to a single enemy. This is considered ultimate. For the Lightcones, her signature is her best in slot Lightcone. It is just super fantastic. It increases the wearer's crit damage by 36%. When the wearer hits the enemy target, inflicts empty bubbles on the enemy, lasting for 1 turn. This effect can be triggered 1 time against each target. For every attack the wearer launches, the wearer deals 24% more damage. 2 targets afflicted with empty bubbles, and damage from the wearer's ultimate additionally increases by 24%. For the F2P Lightcone option, you can use Good Night and Sleep Well. It is a great for stars Lightcone. For every debuff the target enemy has, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 12%. Stacking up to 3 times, this effect also applies to DOT. You can also use Welt's Lightcone in the Name of the World. Increases the wearer's damage to debuffed enemies by 24% when the wearer uses their skill. The effect hit rate for this attack increases by 18% and attack increases by 24%. For Acheron, as her kit revolves around debuffing enemies, the 4-piece Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters is the best relic set for Acheron, as it significantly increases her damage to debuffed enemies. The 2 pieces increases her damage by 12% to enemies with debuffs, and for the 4 pieces buffs her crit to enemies with debuffs and also giving debuff to the enemies. As for the alternative, you can also use the Lightning Relic Set Band of Sizzling Thunder, It is also a good pick as it increases lightning damage and the damage of her skill attacks. Or you can also use the Quantum Relic set, Genius of Brilliant Stars. It is among the best relic sets for any DPS as the defense ignores the percentage of the 4-piece. Is extremely useful. This set is particularly good for Swarm Disaster. For her planar ornaments set, as for right now, Rutland Arena would be the best set for her. It increases her crit rate by 8% and skill damage by 20%. As for the alternative, you can also use the Inert Sodo. It is another good choice for Acheron, increasing her crit rate and ultimate damage. Other than that, the new leaked planar ornament set, Izumo Gunsei and Takama Divine Realm, will likely be perfect for Acheron once it releases in the 2.1 version. It increases the wearer's attack, and further increases the wearer's crit rate if at least one of the allies is from the same path. For the relic stats, for the helmet and gloves. As usual DPS, you will need more crit substats, attack percent, and speed comes after. As for the body, you will definitely want a crit damage or crit rate main stats, and for the substats are the same. For the shoes, you will want to equip her speed, and the rest of substats focusing on crit and attack percent still. For the planar, it's the best to put on lightning damage bonus on her, and for the rope it's best to give additional attack percent. Ideally, Acheron's team composition should look like this, as her gameplay revolves around debuffs and her stats increases as how many Nihility characters that are being in the same team. Here, Pella and Silverwolf will do their job on constantly applying debuffs on the enemies, which actively increases her damage. And they also passively buffing Acheron's damage for being Nihility characters. Plus in this team, though Aventurine is a sustain, he will apply extra debuff to the enemies, resulting the maximum and constant debuff output. Aventurine also will help chipping low HP enemies with his follow-up attack. If you're not pulling Aventurine, Fujuan can also work alongside Acheron. Another alternative, you can also put Luoha. He's also an SP-positive unit, which is great. For the F2P team, you can use Welt if you have him. He will help applying Imprison to the enemies, which delays actions and gives speed reduction, giving debuffs and extra sustain for the team. And for the F2P sustain at best, you can use Gallagher, which will be in the same banner as Acheron later, as he apply burns to the enemies while also healing teammates. Lastly, if you don't have Welt, you can use Gweniphen, as she also gives debuffs to the enemies. But remember that this will likely not going to be the most optimal. So, why not using other Nihility characters? Maybe the DOT ones like Black Swan or Kafka, or maybe Harmony characters for buffer, like Ruan Mei or even Sparkle. The real answer is on Acheron's Trace. One of her trace buffs her damage to 115% when there's another one. Nihility character on the team, and buff can be up to 160% when there are two. And that's a big number in my opinion. The other answer is that these characters actually works better. On other teams, Kafka and Black Swan DOT team is one of the best team currently existing in the game, honestly. Putting even one of them with Acheron would be such waste of potential. I think that's all for the explanations. I hope for everyone who are pulling Acheron the best of luck and blessing of the low pity. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.